There you go. Now you're moving.
Okay. You froze twice, but I could still hear you.
No, you froze first. No, no,
Probably.
no.
Tag, you're it.
Well, if it's happening, it's happening. It's gonna be. It's how it's gonna work. Okay, this is my 116th episode of Breath with Friends with my guest, writer, director, craft service, producer, actor, many
Costumes,
things,
whatever, yeah.
photography, Chuck Magee. So I got through half this movie, and I meant to see it all before but we came on. I didn't get to see, but I saw half of it.
That's all right. Well, no spoilers then, right?
No spoilers. When we start from, okay, this is cocaine snorting crabs from outer space. When I get to, yeah,
A little bit of a thing on that though. I did sign with a distributor, so that what you have is the older version, the original version that I had printed,
yeah.
and the newer one is going to look more like this.
Oh shit! This is an exclusive.
Yeah. Cocaine crabs.
Friends
So
exclusive.
the snorting won't be in there anymore. If someone tries to look it up, they're going to be like, cocaine snorting crabs, cocaine crabs. It's the same thing. We just, when we re-released, we just changed the name and the front artwork, but same movie.
And why was that? Can you give us a little inside baseball on why you did that?
The distributor's call. I've never worked with a distributor before, and he said, I think I can move a lot more if we change this name. So I was down. I said, okay, let's do it.
Nice. Well, okay, so I have a lot to unpack here. Let's do this. Why don't we give the folks a little past history about who you are and how you got, how long you've been filmmaking, and then we'll go up to present day and talk about this, and then we'll go to the future a little bit. So, how long you been filmmaking? Have you always loved film?
High school. High school's when I started. They had like a mass media course. It was like a generic intro to just how movies and TV are made, and I kind of liked it. So I went into college. I went into a community college in the Bay Area, California, and I studied it. And I made shortly after that, I made my first feature, which is called "Bored with a Nail in It, Man." Very low budget, didn't really go anywhere. I made it into like 2 festivals, but I kept going. And then between that one and making my second one, Uncle Bingo, I moved here to Oregon, and I shot Uncle Bingo here back in, it was 2007. I shot that 2007, 2008. And kind of the same thing, very low budget, didn't really go anywhere. And then I had a family, so I kind of backed off for a long while, raising family. And I was okay with that. I mean, I wouldn't trade it for the world. But my kid got old enough, take care of herself, and COVID hit, and I got really, really bored. And I said, you know what? Let's do another one. And that's where this one sprang from.
Who were some of your influences growing up? Because you sort of have a certain flavor in this film. Who are some of your inspirations, like filmmaking wise, growing up? What were you looking at?
Oh, I would say even more than just film. I mean, Mel Brooks, definitely. My gosh, that guy's so funny. But I mean, I could even lump like Looney Tunes cartoons in there. Just anything slapsticky and fun. And the funny thing is with this one, I tried to make it a horror movie. I set out to make a low budget horror movie, and there's definitely blood in there. There's definitely some people getting killed by crabs.
Oh yeah.
But it comes across as just so much funnier than horror. They're both in there, but yeah, the humor definitely outweighs the horror in this one. But yeah, just any of the old like 80s slapstick movies that aren't coming to mind right now.
Yeah, like I'm a huge Mel Brooks fan too. I mean, he's like He's the king. He's the king. It's gonna be the king.
Oh yeah.
Um, um, Young Frankenstein's probably one of my top five movies of all time for sure.
Oh wow, cool.
Um,
I'm a Blazing Saddles man myself.
Blazing Saddles, same. It's just every joke, 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 and you got that crazy ensemble cast that will never be replicated ever again either. Those
Yeah,
performances,
true.
you got Madeline Kahn, you got,
Cleavon Little, Gene Wilder,
it's just, you got Corman in there, you got Brooks. I mean, every side character, every
Slim
note, the old
Pickens. Yeah.
lady inside the church, and the whole. Anyways, it's a million of them. Um, uh, I want to begin because I'm a filmmaker too, so I kind of want to pick your brain, not necessarily pick it because I love making movies because they're fun. That was the whole point of why I always wanted to make a movie. Is it's fun, it's completely creative, it's completely like assembly of talent to create a thing that's beyond everybody. It's just everyone working together. And being in LA a little bit, it just seemed like I was getting a little burned out because it seemed like it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun. So when I was watching your movie, I was like, oh, this is a lot of fun to make. People are having, and you could see it. And I like it kind of because I'm want to do a feature, but also held back because I don't have a budget. But also just looking at what you did is inspiring, and I like that because I like to be inspired. And
Well, thank you. And you're right about the fun. It is a lot of work. It's definitely a lot of work, but you know, the work should be fun. I mean, you no one accidentally makes a movie. You have to really dive in and mean it. And if you're gonna do it, have it be fun. Uh, Everybody in this movie, except for two people who are friends of friends, are friends of mine. And I asked them for help, and I couldn't have done it without them. So I'm not going to ask them, come do this thing. I want it to be excruciatingly painful, and I want you to hate the whole experience and never want to do anything like this again. It, it wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work. So yeah, I want it as fun as it can be for everyone involved. Uh, Clearly myself included, but and at the end of the day, when everything's wrapped and in the can and edited and put out there and packaged, it's really cool to have something at the end of it. It just is. It's like, people I had people who were there like on set for like an hour one day. It's like, okay, cool. Yeah, is that it? That's all I needed? Yep. All right, sweet. Bye. And you know, 10 months later, they're looking at it on the screen going, "Hey, that's me." It's such a cool feeling.
yeah, it's this. I've never seen a film encapsulate Salem, Oregon, quite as good as this film. Just from the locations and to the actors, and I was having like it was giving me like this. If somebody wanted to take a pill that was Salem, Oregon, they would watch this movie.
That or, Cuckoo's Nest, one or the other. Either
Yeah,
way.
well, Cuckoo's Nest. I mean, wow, that'd be Cuckoo's Nest is, and also, yeah, yeah. Have you been to the did you take a tour of the yeah,
No, I never had.
you can go in there and see the all the instruments and some of the artwork that was made by people that they used to do the lobotomies too,
Oh,
and
wow.
and some of the artwork. They have a little, yeah, I think it's $5 or $10 to get in. You take a little walk. They got the original TV. They got the bench from
Huh.
Cuckoo's Nest.
I didn't
If
know that.
anybody
No, I've
doesn't
never
know,
been in there.
Salem, Oregon is where they filmed One Flew the Cuckoo's Nest.
Well, I know that. Yeah, that's why I
I
brought
was
it
just
up.
saying
But
this to the
I
audience.
never knew. Honestly, I thought it all got rebuilt. I mean, every time I drive by, everything looks brand new, but I don't know exactly where they shot. I don't
No,
know.
they shot inside that, but they used the place on the smaller is the outside was where they took him in the beginning of the movie. That's not the bigger building, that's a smaller building. But they refaced everything. You remember it looked like the original building for years was white.
Right, right. Where
And
the sink went out the window and Homeboy
exactly.
took off.
So how long have you been living in Salem?
'06. I moved up here in '06.
And where'd you come from?
Sunnyvale, California.
Sunnyvale. I
Yeah.
grew up in San Jose.
Oh, hot dang.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
exactly where we came from.
Did you go to
I know exactly
D'Anza
where
or
we
did
were.
you go to Saratoga or
Dianza.
D'Anza? I went to D'Anza.
Oh, cool.
Did you? Was Tom Schott still working there, or at the checking out camera equipment? Tom Schott, he's been there forever.
I actually just went back there to visit my brother, and I went to the campus for the first time in like 20 years. About 4 months ago. I don't think he is there anymore. Zach Elisha isn't there anymore. I don't know if you knew him, or he was head of it when I was there in like the mid late 90s. He was head of the department. He's not there anymore.
Wait, you were there
Um,
at the mid late '90s?
yeah.
That you're giving me flashbacks, man, because I moved to LA in '94, but shot my film using their equipment in 1992.
Okay, so when you were there, it was still the closet. Like it was all
Yeah.
like the film classes were up. They have a brand new bit. Well, 20 years now, but they had a brand new building after that.
Oh wow, that whole place changed in 2008. That or no, 1995 is when that place all changed.
Yeah,
The
because
Apple building.
my first class was 94, and it was still like up in the attic where like all the props and things were shoved. And I had one class there, and then my very next class, the new building had opened. So it was all this brand new. It's such a sharp spot they got there, technology wise. The little set. They've got their own foley room. They've got their own mixing room. They've got their studio, their own studio, giant green screen sites, things like that. It's great for community college. It's
Oh,
top notch.
yeah, we had some really good times there. Yeah, I used to edit on a platter, reel to reel back in the day there. That's how long ago that was. And everyone's like, video was coming up. The I forget who the teacher was at the time. There was like, this new video is coming. We're like, no, high contrast, black and white. 16 millimeters. Sometimes if you could do it, super 16, but no, I never shot on the super 16, but we wanted to. But the and we were like so staunch. David Lynch, was our god, and all we're basically dressed in black and white there. But and then we were this whole video thing seemed like such a like the shittiest thing ever for movies. And then all of a sudden now look at it, 25 years, 30 years later. Everyone, we
Well,
were
that's
heavily against
granted.
video at the time. Were you heavily against video when you were going to, or were you a film guy?
I tried both. I Dennis Irwin was my film teacher. I took
That was I know that was my film teacher.
Dennis Irwin.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, he's still there. I didn't. He wasn't there when I was there a few months ago, but yeah, he was still there.
Holy shit. Okay. So continue.
Um, but yeah, I took like 2 or 3 film courses, and I most of my stuff I did on video. And at the time, while I liked what film produced, film can only advance so much, whereas digital, I mean, it's advanced infinitely. The only thing you can really do with film is make it bigger, and it makes it super expensive. I But bottom line is, I'd rather watch a good video than a bad film, or a good film than a bad video. So whichever one you have access to, use it.
Yeah, well, that
Use it.
was just there's just that point in time. Now it's completely, not even a relevant argument.
No,
But
it's not, because video. I
we were
mean,
just young, sold on the film because we didn't know what video was yet. And then I went to West Valley, and they kept on doing different things to video, like film look was a
oh
thing
yeah,
that was big. That was basically the equivalent of a what would be an app now, where you'd put your video through a thing and then make it look like film, but never really
yeah.
look truly like film. But
I remember that being like big news in the late '90s. It's like when they're mentioning like companies, it's like, we nailed it, we got it, we made it look like film.
yeah, then years and years with progressive video. And remember when Video HD first came out on TV, and all the news, all the anchors and everybody like had their huge screens all of a sudden, and they're in HD or like complete high. And you could see every crackle in their skin and every makeup thing. It was like whoa! What was that Carpenter movie where all they
They
put the lights
live.
on and off on
They
off.
live.
Yeah,
Rowdy
they were
Roddy
the
Piper.
classic.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, "Whoa, we gotta tweak this video because everyone's looking really, a little
Makeup.
too sharp."
Makeup.
beep
Makeup.
beep beep beep. Back that camera up, man. Because everyone's screens just got huge too. Everyone went flat screen,
Yeah.
so they got their own movie theater. So, I really also loved about this movie that what I've seen of it is besides the fun, but just using Salem and just seeing Salem in it.
Well, yeah.
It's kind of a treat, kind of fun.
Um it's helpful to know. I mean, when watching the movie, you'll get a good idea of who I know and what resources they offered me to use. Like, I shoot in a radio station because I know a guy who owns a radio station. I shoot in a restaurant because I know people who own a restaurant. I shoot, in someone's backyard because they have a backyard. Uh, it's what you have to do when you're this low budget. So I didn't really mean this to encapsulate Salem. I didn't mean it to make like as a love story to Salem. I didn't even mention Salem. I just wanted it to be Anytown, USA. But if you are from Salem, you're definitely gonna pick up some stuff. You're like, I know exactly where that is. Oh, that's right there. I work there. I work across the street from there. Sure, absolutely. One of the buildings I used is just a government building that it's like the end of this weird industrial, not even a cul-de-sac, but it just this road comes to an angle, like a 90-degree angle, and there's this building at the end of it. So there's like almost no traffic there. The parking lot's gigantic, so it's empty like for most part. I shot there like 12 days just from different angles using it. I think that one, it's kind of a large area. I think I used that as like 6 or 7 different locations in this movie. In fact, I used it for my previous movie, Uncle Bingo, as well. That's how I found out about it. It's like, no one's here. I'm not bothering anybody. It's relatively quiet. I'm going to shoot here, you know? And I just milked it for all I could.
It seems like there's a lot of space in Salem for right now. Is there a vibe to Salem as a Salem local that you could describe what the sort of the pulse of Salem is? I know that's an obtuse question, but is there a vibe here?
I don't know if there's a vibe. I think it's, boy, that's a tough one. Um, I get a lot of vibe of people saying like, Salem. It's so hard for people to not compare Salem to Portland, and when people do that, oh, Salem's not Portland. Salem doesn't have this. Salem doesn't have this. Salem doesn't have teams. Salem doesn't have arenas. Salem doesn't have all these things. I mean, I think that's opportunity for maybe not a stadium or anything, but that's opportunity for someone to do something about it. Salem doesn't have a cool nightlife. We'll get a cool nightlife going. Salem doesn't have any videos coming out of it. Make some videos.
Yeah,
Versus going into Portland. Bay Area, like the public TV here in Salem is really accessible. I mean, I went in there. I still have friends who I've known work there for like 17 years, and they're great, and they're all welcoming. Come in. You want a show on our station? Come on in, make it. Come bring it. You try that in the Bay Area, it's like they're gonna throw you at the door and tell you to get in line and wait 10 years and still never get it because it's all taken. It's all there. Salem's it's got that opportunity going for it.
yeah. I mean, I did some work over there with CCTV.
Yeah, they
Uh,
changed it. It's Capital Community Television. No, I can't remember. They recently changed the name, but I instinctively call it CCTV as well.
Yeah, I think I checked out some camera there for a little bit, and I was gonna do some. I tried shooting in downtown for a little bit, but I just couldn't. I mean, my stuff is so abstract, and then I ended up doing the podcast, so it kind of enveloped that idea. I had already had started doing that, so it's sort of I didn't really need it as much. But you also had to sign that they own the property that you shot. or everything they
Yeah.
thought they owned.
If you
Which is
use any of their stuff, yeah, they want
you
to
give
own
them
it.
a credit. Basically, you just give them a credit, so it's easy. It's not like you. But
Sure.
interesting, interesting. Yeah, Venice or not Venice, but Salem's got room to shoot, and right now the weather's perfect. I'm thinking about shooting some stuff and trying to motivate. But anyways, let's get back to you. Um, the um, the Salem area, and you also work at a really amazing spot that how I met you. Can should we mention the name? Dare we? Because F
I
stop,
work at a I work at a pub called F Stop Fitzgerald's. I've
which
worked
is
there for almost about 13 years now. We've been open 14 years.
wow.
Yeah,
That's
Kirk
a
Kindle
great
owns
spot.
it. I met him before it opened, maybe about a year before it opened. Through he
Mhm.
had a film festival in town, and I was like, "That's great, you guys have a festival." And I had a movie, so I played Board with a Nail Man at his festival. It was the Mid Valley Video Festival, is what he called it,
Mhm.
and he would run that over out of Northern Lights Theater Pub.
Yeah.
And he eventually backed out, and Darren Holmquist and I took it over for another year after that, and then we backed off after that. We haven't done it in years.
Yeah, I love F stop. It's like a little family of sorts of really interesting people. I always have a good time when I go there. And
It's
you guys let me
it
sign
is
my artwork.
it's that one place where at least I can walk in. Everybody knows my name,
It's
or if they
cheers.
don't, they will shortly. But
It's
yeah, F
cheers.
Stop is a truly special place.
Mhm.
Man, I wouldn't know a quarter of the people I know, or three quarters of the people I know, if it wasn't for that pub and all the cool people who hang out there.
Yeah, I mean, I same. I mean, I just love the conversation. Everybody comes to have a conversation. It seems, or they. Some people wouldn't even tell their friends or different family members they don't want to find out about the place because they don't want to ruin it. They don't want. They don't
Don't want
want.
my Uncle Joe in there. He's a creep.
To
He's a creep. He oogles people. He smells like old cheese. Don't let him in.
and I love the setup is such a warm. It's a home, and it literally is a house, and and it's just interesting how the biosphere kind of changes from summer into winter with the fire pit,
Oh
and
yeah.
now with the addition of slangers, shout out to slangers, they're really killing it with those fucking smash burgers. Um, and the whole staff over there is amazing. Uh, it's just really like a nice. It's like a portal
It,
where people can come to you know I don't know. It's creative.
it's it is, and it's not your typical bar either. I mean, weekly we have Dungeons and Dragons games going in the back rooms. It's I don't want to ultimately call it a nerd bar. It kind of is a little bit, but what other bar would you walk into, with your books or your Magic the Gathering cards or your Pathfinder and just plop back in a room and just start playing and no one thinks twice about it. They're just, oh, they got a game going on. We'll pick another room. You know,
Do
it's
you
that kind of
know?
place.
Can you tell me about the gaming lifestyle? Are you into gaming? Because my brother used to be a D&D guy like years and years ago, and he plays video games like crazy. But as far as what's being played now, what are people playing in there?
Usually it's Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder. I used to play Dungeons and Dragons, not a whole lot. There were other role playing games I've done, so I'm familiar with the mechanics and how they work. Since coming up here to Oregon, I've only had played one game, but oh, it was a blast. Um, so Dungeons and Dragons is still the big one. Pathfinder's another one. At one point, I might not have this correct exactly, but I believe at one point, Dungeons and Dragons company Hasbro let part of their gaming system to public domain or something so people could make their own games off of it,
Mm-hmm.
and one group took that and ran with it and made Pathfinder. So it's like another kind of competing,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, another side thing. It's the same gist, but there's little intricacies with the rules, and I guess people weren't digging the rules of one for a while, so then they made this one, and then they changed the rules back on the other one. so people are playing that one again. That's my understanding of it. I'm not super sure. I do play Magic. I'm more of a Magic dude.
Mm.
I like kitchen table. People can get very competitive with it. That's not me. I'm there to drink beer and have fun.
And what is it? Where does the competitiveness come from for those? Like, it's like people get pretty invested in these games.
Oh yes, oh yes. There's if they know how to open your wallet. I mean, whatever you think might not be out there, it probably is. As
Mhm.
far as just books and more books or more cards and more cards, they just keep churning them out, and people keep buying it because they love it.
So, with I want to talk to you about the state of the industry. Have
Which
you
industry?
the film industry?
Filming. Okay.
So, how do you see it? Like, how do you feel about the film industry right now, as opposed to like Hollywood crumbling? Sitcom TV over. Independent film might be the moment that we've all been striving for because we're not contractually obligated to SAG or AFTRA or writers or any companies that would take our stuff and own it so we can do whatever we want. How do you feel about this? What's this all looking like to you? Like let's start like maybe before a little. I guess COVID sort of kicked it off, right? Kicked off a lot of stuff, but to like what's present, and then I want to talk to you about a little bit about the future of the film industry and independent filmmaking.
I don't think it's crumbling. I think it's changing, and I think everybody's just trying to do the best they can with what they're doing. Uh, I think I think Hollywood's shooting itself in the foot a little bit with all the streaming, because they go out there and they're like, well, theater sales are down. Theater sales are down. Why are theater sales down? Because you're putting it all in their living room. You're putting all this stuff in their living room, and then you're complaining why they're not going to the theater. They're shooting themselves in the foot if they want those ticket sales.
But don't you think they know that already? Do you
I
think this might be a calling of the herd in some sort of way?
I would think so. I mean, I don't know. I
Or are they
I
just
get wanting
waiting?
to keep costs down and things like that. But I mean, when they like years ago, having a big budgeted movie used to mean so much freedom. It's like we've got all this budget, to make this movie. It'll be great. I don't think it's seen that way anymore. It's seen as an investment. They know the numbers. I mean, before a movie's even out, they're already predicting like how much this movie's going to make, 2 weekends from now. They haven't shown a soul other than maybe a couple test audiences, and they know it's like this costs X amount, and it's going to make X plus Y, by its third weekend. The public hasn't even seen it yet, so they know what they're doing. They got the bean counting down pretty tight. So when they throw that much money at something, and you can't blame them for this. If you throw like X amount of money, you want X plus Y. You want Y to be as big as you can get, but you definitely don't want it to be X minus Y. But with I mean, you think about the average cost of a movie just even like 20 years ago and what it is now, at least like big budget stuff. I'm talking big budget here.
Yeah.
It's not rare, but like that movie cost $200 million. It's like, didn't they shoot like all three Lord of the Rings for like not too much more than that? Three big epic movies. Now you get one, and they want that money back, so they're tied on it. It's like, nope, we can't do that. Nope, nope, no risk taking, no nothing. We need that money. We're throwing a lot at it. We want it back. So I think the big budget has been a little confining in that way, in that they're playing it safe. We're not seeing a whole lot of, I don't want to say new, but risk taking. There's not a lot of risk taking with the big budget stuff. That's what the lower budget stuff is for. When you find something that's really, really good, and they see it and they know it's good, but they don't know if the audience is going to take to it, that's when you get these smaller budget movies, these maybe 10, 15 million, $20 million things that can blow up, and suddenly people have Oscars in their hands.
Yeah, there's been a lot of shit out there. I mean, if it was released like 10 years ago, it would have been a complete hit. But like that Flash, I won't even look at that film. I saw the guys doing special effects, like they show the special effects and how they did them and talk about them. It's on YouTube. These guys, special effects guys. But that did you see that movie?
I I got about 10 minutes into it and I didn't finish it. It I he was running up a building and he put a baby in a microwave and I tuned out. I
What
was
the
like
fuck were they thinking?
I don't know. Like I said, I haven't seen the rest of it, so
No, it doesn't get any better, right? Apparently.
I want good things from DC. I really do. I like DC. I like Marvel better. I've liked Marvel better since I read the comics and before all the movies. But I like them both.
There's always
Mar-
DC and Marvel always had that class system in their comic books because everybody, you know, there's DC kids and there's Marvel. And every once in a while, a good Batman would come out with John Byrne, or where he would do like, where he switched over from Marvel to DC, or because he did a version. Someone did a really great version of Batman back in, and they kind of cross over. But they always had that thing where they were kind of competing with each other, and Marvel was always a little bit higher on the echelon. I think because
the,
of X-Men and stuff like that.
yeah.
But
The one thing I will say DC owns Marvel at are the cartoons. The animated series. Marvel hasn't put out that I know of any good animated series. Well, like the 90s X-Men and Spider-Man, those were really good, but the cartoons that DC are putting out, I mean, they're fantastic. They really are. They're owning in that category, in my opinion.
well, but even the superhero genre, I think it kind of goes back to the. It's like with the media, it's like our perceptions of celebrity and what it means to be a celebrity and have the cost of. I think our ideas of how we market movies, like the celebrity era is over. The Humphrey Bogarts, we got very little of those, Schwarzeneggers left, or like I guess Tom Cruise would be the last. What they're saying is the last movie star. Um, it's the way things are being billed and made used to depend on the stars that were in the movie. And I think with social media, it's changed. Everyone's their own celebrity now. So, do you think that's
I
the way things are made or going
I
to?
don't think that's entirely true. I mean, they're still movie stars, but the thing is, there's so much more being put out there. I mean, when you think about like the media content being put out by Hollywood back in the 40s, like Humphrey Bogart, there wasn't nearly as much as there is today. So they're still out there. It's just a much bigger sea of things to watch that they're in. So I don't know about the last. Yeah, I don't know about that. It
The way
just the
I don't know, it
the
just seems
ocean's
like
gotten bigger.
what's that? I'm sorry.
I said the ocean just has just gotten bigger.
Which dilutes the meaning of the stuff, which it does change the way. Like I don't know. I don't think people go necessarily to movies because of stars anymore.
Probably not as much. Probably not as much. I mean, like all the Marvel stuff. I mean, people weren't going for the stars. Those stars have been in other movies that didn't do half as well. They went for the characters. They went for the, you know, for the comic book characters. They have been so well established, not in film but in books. You know, longer than a lot of these people have been alive. Captain America's older than me
Yeah.
by what 40 years, 30 years, something like that.
Are people still in a super? Do you see the genre dying out at this point for a little bit, or it's going to take a while to get back?
The superhero.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know because it's really tough to say. Because I mean, what Marvel did, no one's really ever done this. Take a 10-year span of movies, link them, web them all together, and have this giant climax that was
Great.
Endgame. I mean, it's
I
I don't
saw
know
that.
if they'll ever get there again,
No,
but
I
it's
don't think so. It'll
definitely
take another 10 years to do that, and they're not the foundation to that buildup has not been laid properly. Like no one's
possibly.
invested in any of these characters right now.
I mean, if when making movies, if none of us have like the exact answer to how we make a good movie. It's art and it's a giant process. Otherwise, every movie that's released would be perfect. We know that's not the case. In fact, far from it. So I don't know. I mean, it definitely has, for what we've seen so far. I think it's definitely peaked. but I think they also know we can't just keep going and peaking and peaking and peaking. You know, ebbs and flows kind of thing. So, do I think it's at a low point right now for what they just finished? It's lower. I mean, I haven't been blown away since, like those Avengers movies
Yeah,
since,
that was
really.
some of the end game was basically the crowning jewel. And it
Sure.
took 10 years to get there. I saw that in West Hollywood or at the Fox Theater in Westwood with the audience on opening night, and the directors and everybody were there too. And
Oh, cool.
I hadn't had, and I had a great middle seat. The place was packed. It was a gourd. People were flipping the fuck out.
Oh, I
Right,
bet.
you had the directors there, some of the actors, first time, big, huge, giant fucking screen. That was the moment, like, that's like an event moment. That's like seeing Star Wars for the first time, and it hit so many levels. Like, it started out with a punch. It like fucking just started out in fifth gear, with Mr. Fantasy playing on the intro. Just like the emotion. But and I don't know if it'll like get there. It's gonna take 10 years to have another moment like that to happen.
I th- I think if
Maybe
they're
the
going to get
creator will
back
have
there,
that. What's that?
I think if Marvel's ever going to get back there, it's going to be with one simple concept. X-Men. They
And
need to
we
start
deserve
X-Men.
the X-Men. We deserve the X-Men that we grew up with too, by the way, because they really I was never a big the first X-Men was great because we were so thirsty for it. But like, and Logan has its moments, I guess. But they by the time I saw Logan, they'd fucked with it so much that you're kind of like, that whole Phoenix saga has been, they were trying to do that over and over, and the comic book version, if they would have just did that, it would have been great, you know.
It's also it's also, I mean, X-Men span like many years, many decades, and with characters coming and going, and it's not the easiest thing in the world to do, so I get that. But also, most of my comic book reading was X-Men. So knowing the material, when you know the source material and you go to watch the movie, it's natural to be a little more rough on it or tough on it as far as they didn't get that right, they didn't get that right, they didn't get that right. I mean, I knew of the Avengers. I never read them a whole lot. So, did they get everything right in the Avengers? No. Did they make it fun and cool enough that I didn't care? Yes. I don't think any of the X-Men movies pulled that off for me. There's not a single X-Men movie out there that I truly like. Um, Part of it was my favorite character is Gambit, and they didn't put him in the first one, so I was really upset. Then the second one came out. They didn't put him in that one either. By the end of the second one, I was like, keep him out. Just don't put him in there.
Yeah, why? Yeah, why bring him now to do have a flippity? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's when it starts getting diluted and stuff like that. But like, I mean, I have, I have hope that the upcoming X-Men, where they reboot it, will be good with the yellow suit and everything like that. And
If they take their time and do what they did with the first time around with the first 10 years, they could probably nail it again. It's the matter of time when and how are they going to go about it is the real question.
yeah, because a lot of this stuff when they do it, because our eyes are so sophisticated, a lot of these hero films for me and just look a lot like cosplay at this point, because the people at Comic-Con are doing much better costumes than the actual movies are actually doing. So it's like more in the vein of, like, I don't know. It's a tightrope because our eyes are so sophisticated. What we can get away with. How much are you going to suspend disbelief?
Sure.
Like in that one shot that Olivia Munn was in one of those ones, and they did a like a whole shot, like of the on the rocks and stuff like that, of all the characters in this one shot that was probably supposed to be like epic, and it just looked like a bunch of cosplay. So it was a weird.
Yeah, I can see that. I remember being in the theater for the very first X-Men movie, in back in 2000. Was that 2000? No, 2000, 2005. I don't know. Uh, but there was a line in there toward the end of it, and they're in the Blackbird, they're in the jet, and they're in their new costumes. They're all wearing the black costumes, and Wolverine's like kind of poking at it, looking at her. I can't remember the line. But Cyclops turns to us and says, "What'd you want? Yellow spandex?" And I was the only one in the theater, but I yelled as loud as I could. I yelled the word yes. I went, yes.
Yes. Give them,
They
and
and
when they've done the yellow
supposedly
suits in later ones, it didn't look great. Come on, like come on, you guys. Like
he's
that one where they're all it's like huge giant. Come on, you can do. Come on.
he's supposed to be in the new Deadpool movie. There's shots of him in the yellow and blue
Yeah.
outfit. Looks a lot better than what he's
It
been in
looks it
before.
looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. It looks like a cool biker outfit, but it looks good. It looks. I was very happy. They didn't show the mask yet, but some people did some CG or whatever on the picture to put the mask on. Yeah, it'll be fun to see that. But they're
That
not.
is
It's a closed set right now because the strike.
right.
So where do you see this? Have you been paying attention to any of this writer strike and the SAG after strike, or how that's? What are your opinions on this? I think it's going to last for a while. Then AI. Do you have? I mean, do they? I mean, I don't think Hollywood's afraid to put out a completely AI movie, or
If they can make money off it, absolutely not. They would not be afraid of that at
they're
all.
not going to be afraid of that at all. Especially when they win an Oscar for best film that year, best artificially made movie.
Right.
when people
No,
start when people start falling in love with the characters that are not real, that's when it's over.
but people fall in love with characters that aren't real all the time. Whether it's in a book or in a magazine or a a podcast or whatever. People fall in love with characters all the time, whether there's a human being behind it or not. There's that wall between the artist and then the character. We're not always looking at that artist when we look at that character. So, I mean, if it's an actor or actress, if it's someone's face, yeah, it's kind of hard to separate that. You're looking at said person, even though said person is, wearing red, white, and blue and throwing a shield around. It's less separation than like a writer,
yeah,
or a painter.
yeah.
You don't always, if you're in that museum, you're looking at that painting, you know, a toddler could have done it. You really, really don't know unless you know the name of the artist or who did it. But the whole AI thing, I think it's gonna get milked. I think it's gonna get so milked if for it's as much as people can get away with it. That's how much it's gonna get milked.
Yeah, it's gonna be like when I was in LA before I left. I saw a bus drive by, and they as a poster for something, and it had a log line, and then it said this was an AI made log line. That's how it's gonna have to be presented because then people know that it's not real. They're basically saying this is an AI non-human made movie, and then people have the choice to they know what it is. It's like a warning on a Coca-Cola can or whatever about the sugar in it or whatever or cigarettes. But that's they're just gonna put like a rated AI, maybe, for human consumption. And once it starts making awards and stuff like that, and eliciting feelings, and people making people cry for an emotional, it's a wild. It looks pretty wild.
It's definitely gonna shake things up. Um, for good or bad, I don't know. Probably at times both.
Yeah, but that's just the component about like with filmmaking when they apply that to the same thing to like automotive and
Sure, like
some.
any new tool, it's gonna be used for good and bad.
So what do you see coming up in the future for you? What are you working on now? You just got a distribution deal for Crabs, and what's that like?
Yes, I did through SRS Cinema. I entered back in the '90s when I made Board with a Nail It Man. There was a website called withoutabox.com, and it was basically a hub for most of the film festivals in the U.S. So you had this one website where you could you find out their address and mail them your stuff. Late '90s, so you used to have the mail things, and just enter a bunch of festivals that way. I
Mhm.
don't know if that one's around anymore, but there's another one called Film Freeway. My buddy Tom Murphy just told me about it 2 years ago, somewhere. But Film Freeway is a website where it's a hub. It's like every I don't want to say all of them, but almost all of the film festivals are right there. It's their little page to mail to send your stuff to. I mean, Sundance is on there. All the big everything from Sundance to the Toronto Terrible Fest,
Mhm.
which is one of the ones I entered to. It's a guy with a video store in Toronto who has a big back room with 40 chairs and just holds a video fest.
Nice.
And I entered Krabs into that one, and he said it went over very well there. And he got me in touch with Ron Bonk over at SRS Cinema. So I sent him the stuff, and he said, "I'm interested in distributing this." And I'd never worked with a distributor before. It was basically a lot of emails back and forth, me just asking questions, 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 and he was great answering them. He was very direct and very honest, and he said, you know, we're plan on doing this with it. I plan on doing this with it. None, these things might not happen, but he told me what would happen. Like the Blu-ray here, the DVD isn't out yet, or at least the DVD of the version he's releasing. The one you're holding, those are like strictly kind of around the Salem area for the most part.
Yeah.
But these, he did 100 limited on the Blu-ray that you can get through his website, which is srscinema.com. I believe it's /store, where you can get these. He made 100 limited. Ads just went out onto the internet for online stores like Best Buy and Walmart and almost like 40 others
Really?
for the DVD.
That's fantastic.
So those are pre-sale. I believe it's November 7th that those are available.
Wow. Just in time for Christmas.
Yeah. Crab Christmas. Crabby Christmas. Crabby Christmas.
So,
Okay. Uh,
story of the show.
and it is also supposed to be, I'm not sure when, it's supposed to be hitting, I believe, Amazon on demand. Is that the paper? That's how old I am. I keep saying pay-per-view, but it's supposed to be hitting Amazon as well. I'm not sure when.
Do you know anything about Tubi?
Yeah. I
What's
just
that?
watched a movie on Tubi the other night.
Is that sort of similar and a lot of independents going to Tubi and to be watched?
Uh, Actually, that was my plan before I got in contact with Ron. I was gonna look into Tubi because I don't want to say they're not as picky, but they have some lower budget stuff on there. So, yeah, that was my intention. I think it's great. The amount of just the amount of things you can watch on there, and it's free. It's free. Who cares if there's a commercial? Mute the commercial and play on your phone for a minute. You know, I think it's a
Is that
great
their
service.
thing? Is they play commercials during your film?
Yeah,
Is that how they're making their money?
yeah, because it's a free service.
So your film
There's no
becomes like a
monthly
TV
fee
show.
on Tubi.
It's almost like your film becomes like a little bit of a break. Do they know where to break those moments up so it doesn't hinder the momentum of the film?
The ones I have seen have always been in between scenes, so it's not like in the middle of this sentence or something. So, and the secret is toothpaste.
Toothpaste.
Fire toothpaste.
Ever see Amazon Women on the Moon?
Oh yeah, ages ago, but yeah.
Groove Tube,
Groove. That one's
Kentucky
not
Fried
thick.
Movie.
Groove Tube. No,
You've never seen Groove Tube?
I've never seen Groove Tube.
Check it out. You'll love it. Kentucky Fried Movie,
Yes.
same vein. The Groove Tube is in the same vein as Kentucky Fried Movie. It might have been made 1 year after Kentucky Fried Movie, or before actually. But
I wrote it down. I'll check it out.
yeah, you'll love it. So where it's going to change the landscape. What do you see? So more of this Tubi or like independent stations collecting independent work and distributing it like as a place to come to, like a YouTube. Is there would you ever show or have your film on YouTube?
Uh,
Or is that for the distributor to figure out? I guess
yeah, I was gonna say the deal I signed with them, he has distribution rights for 5 years in the USA and Japan. And it actually just got picked up in Japan. He found a
wow.
buyer. Yeah,
Wow, dude, this is great.
yeah.
How's that feel?
It feels great. I mean, what artist doesn't want their art, shown out there as wide as they can? So, I mean, that's really the whole purpose of it. I mean, I can't think of like I'm going to make a movie. Why? So no one can see it. That doesn't make sense to me. You want to get as many people watching it as you can. So, yeah.
um, so like, are you? Do you want to do more sort of films in this genre? I mean, you have your own. It sounds like your own sort of physics. Do you have like slasher comedy or not? A monster comedy, sci-fi, independent. Like, do you want to? What would you like to see? Like, if somebody gave you $100 million budget, what
Oh
would you
boy.
do?
I I'd probably make several movies with it
No, you have to spend it on one movie.
on one movie. Okay. I mean, whatever I do, it'll be comedy. Whatever else I put in there, and with crabs, like I said, I intentionally went in to make a horror movie. That was my goal, just because there's a much larger market for low budget horror movies. You don't really see a big market for low budget, comedies or dramas or things like that. Those all
Uh,
have, they got a lot more money behind them usually.
yeah,
But with
because it's
low
sort of an
budget
IP
horror,
because it's like a genre that already has a system that works. Like
yeah,
action movies, they have that's people know it's an action movie. People know it's a horror film. People
yeah.
know it's a B comedy. There's genres within that genre too. But comedy and drama are really the hard ones to get like financing for independently or even.
I mean, I've actually never really tried to get financing. All my movies have just been self-financed, but the budgets are kind of, low enough. I'd never collected unemployment in my life, but when I heard the kind of money that some of my friends were getting for COVID, I sure as heck signed up.
Fuck yeah.
And yeah, my unemployment covered the crab movie budget. Just being out of work for a year plus, whatever it was, and like, state gave me these checks. I was like, all right, cool. I know what I'm doing with this.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was the normal. This is like, okay, we're gonna give you money. This is what you should have been making the whole entire time. This is a
Yeah,
living wage, and we like, all got that money. We're like, oh shit, this is a living wage. I've been living way below this.
that and getting it all in one chunk is a little bit of experience I'm not used to as well.
Yeah, it helped a lot of people out, and unfortunately, people have passed away. COVID hopefully is never going to see the likes of anything like that happen again. Even though people would probably enjoy the money again. Um,
No, no, let's not do that ever again. Ever, ever again.
it was pretty. Do you think there's people are still getting to know or because some people don't want to work like they want to work from remotely from home and stuff like that. Do you see it changed the way people wanted to wanted to work? What are the other changes that you saw happen with COVID that we're still happening now? Like we're feeling the effects of, you think?
Oh, I think our business has been not like crucially, but I think the nightlife is suffering a bit. The movie theaters are suffering still. That may be still COVID related, but also the streaming. We brought that up. I think just people going out in general. I still don't think a lot of places have fully recovered for what it was like before COVID, and that's like just going out anywhere. The zoo, the park, the what have you, nightlife. I know nightlife is still, at least around here, it's still a little lower than what it has been in the past.
Yeah. Do you see because you're in a pretty social environment? Have you seen like are people acclimated back to reality, or are they still having like social like a social like trying to figure out how to even talk to each other again?
Varying degrees, varying degrees between people is what I see. I know some people who it hasn't bothered at all, and I know some people who still don't want to go out. They're like, no, I got used to being at home. I'm comfortable with this. I don't want to go out there. I've seen and heard both. So varying degrees, but they both exist.
So, is this the best time of the year to be in Salem, Oregon, weather-wise?
Uh, to be in, I don't know.
Like the weather right now is pretty perfect.
It is, but it's also September in Oregon, so 10 days from now it could be dumping 4 inches of rain. You never flip a coin kind of thing. I will say though that both my movies that I shot here in Oregon, I did the same thing both times. I start in late July. I always start in late July because um, for that 4 weeks, primary shooting for both my movies is roughly 4 weeks. Uh, it is tough to find consistent lighting in Oregon with it being dry. You can find consistent lighting for like 9 months of the year here. You can, and gray is easy to work with. I mean,
Yeah,
it's easy to
no
make
shadows.
shadows. It really is, but you can't guarantee 4 weeks of dry gray weather. If I could, I'd plan around that. It'd
Yeah.
be much easier. But if you want it dry and consistent and bright and blue or gray, whatever, late summer. Because even here in Oregon, I mean, we've had rainy Junes. You just don't plan for it. Late July, like the last week of July, 3 weeks into August, it's worked for me. And even still, we'll get cloudy days. Did you see the part in the movie where Rick is eating the donut
Yeah.
over the guy laying on the ground?
Yeah.
That day, the
Hey,
clouds
you
were
gotta give a
working.
shout out to Rick Snowden. He killed that part.
Yes, he
He
did.
can
Ricky
act. He's a
boy,
good actor.
Ricky.
Rick,
He
he
did.
killed it.
He was one of two people I had in mind for a part. Everybody else just kind of fell into place, but I had him in mind for that part, and he did. He absolutely nailed it. But that day when he's standing there, his whole day, we shot all that in one day. And the first part of that day, bright and sunny, when AJ is like getting attacked by the crabs, and like it's so sunny and everything's so shiny. And by the end of it, when he's standing there, it's overcast. The wind was picking up. If you watch it again, you can hear his voice, but you definitely hear the wind coming through
Mm.
because the weather coming. You can't stop it. You either wait or reschedule. So I said, let's just shoot it, and we'll see if it's usable. If not, we'll come back another day. And I just said, the heck with it. We could hear everyone's dialogue. You can hear the wind in the background, but it doesn't stifle anybody's dialogue. The points get across.
Someone's
I
got that fully. We want that ambient sound too. That's Oregon.
Yeah, it is. And when I think it was last year, Kevin Smith came through Salem with his Clerks 3 movie and answering some questions. He's so good at it. And he brought up a good point. As an artist, you kind of want that perfect. You want it perfect, exactly the way you want it. But sometimes, when you don't have that budget and you don't have all that the time in the world, sometimes you have to look at a shot and say, good enough. Good enough is exactly that. It's good enough. When you get that shot and it's not perfect, but it's like, you know what? Is that passing grade? Next shot. Here we
Yeah, it
go.
tells us. Does it help continue the story?
Yeah.
Let's go.
And does it fit? Does it, you know, did
Well, there's
everyone record?
the famous thing in like the Clint Eastwood sniper movie with what's his face with the baby, the fake baby.
The American Sniper? Is that the
Yeah,
one?
American Sniper. And the was it Bradley Cooper had that fake baby scene?
Oh, that's right. That's
Clint
right.
Eastwood's like, get the fake baby in here. Let's just go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. He's like, go, 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 go.
Yeah.
He didn't care. He didn't give a shit. He's like, fuck, fake baby. And that was the most ridiculous scene. Have you ever seen that scene?
I saw that in the theater. It's been a while, but I do remember, I vaguely remember that. Yeah. But yeah, when you're out there and you're shooting, your timer, there's no clock. There's no clock. There's no phone timer. There's the one timer you have to worry about is up above your head, and it moves like this, and it's gonna do that for about 12 hours, and that's what you got. Use it, because if you don't get everything you planned that day, if you have something planned the next day, you won't have time to do it then either. So if you get it and it's good enough, next shot.
What's your
Next
favorite
shot.
thing about what's your favorite thing about making movies?
Boy, probably writing them. Well, yeah, probably writing them. writing, when I'm in the writing process, that's when I get the most laughter out of my own stuff. I will sit there and come up with the corniest line, and I will just giggle to myself, not even to myself out loud. Like my kid will be downstairs. She's like, "What do you do? Are you up there writing?" And I'll be like, "Yes, I am." And she's like, "You got to tell me what you write. What you write if it's that funny." So writing. I mean, I like all of it, really. Writing and seeing it done, shooting, yeah, all of it, really.
Do you do storyboard?
Editing is not. Editing is not. I'm an okay editor. I'm a competent editor, but I'm not a fast editor. This thing took me from concept was January 21, and I premiered it. What was it? November 22. So that's what, 10 months, I think.
Pretty fast.
No, 20 months.
That's pretty
I'm bad
fast.
at math.
That's pretty
January
fast.
to almost 2 years. But 10 months of that was editing.
Did you have a sense of satisfaction upon completion?
Oh yeah.
What'd that feel?
Yeah. This one more than my other two. My other two, you know, you have this grandiose picture in your head. You know, this is my first one. This is my baby. This is good, and it never turns out the way you want. At least with that low of a budget, it's not going to. You've seen too many other movies. You know what they're supposed to look like. When your rinky-dink thing comes out not looking like that, it's a little disappointing. With Crabs, I went in knowing exactly what I was doing, knowing what I was going after. This is a cheap little movie. I want to make it a cheap little movie, and I want the fact that it's a cheap little movie to be hilarious.
Mm.
I mean, the fact these characters are running around, you know, dodging little plastic crabs. They're running for their lives.
No spoilers! No spoilers! Come on, you don't want to spoil for
them. They're little plastic crabs. It's in the trailer. So I, instead of fighting the fact that I didn't have a giant budget, I went with it. I said, let's keep the corny level up. Let's keep the cheese level up. And let's just roll around in it.
Well, with that, this would be a perfect time to introduce a trailer. And then we'll come back. Would you like to introduce a trailer, and we'll act like we watched it, and then we'll come back, and then we'll end the we'll come back and maybe get 5 minutes out of you and end the episode.
Sure.
Okay, so tell people what they're about to see.
Okay, folks. This is the trailer for Cocaine Crabs from Outer Space. This took me about 2 weeks to edit. This is the second trailer I've edited. I'm pretty darn proud of it. And I hope you like what you see. So without further ado, here's the trailer to Cocaine Crabs from Outer Space. Yay!
Dude, did you like crabs back here?
Your face is crabs.
Give them some of your beer.
You give them a beer.
I'm giving them something way stronger than beer.
Detective Reese, come in.
Reese here. All right, what do we got? Captain? Captain?
You think crabs are pinching people to death?
Well, what's it gonna take for you to take this seriously?
Get somebody to agree with you. Someone who knows what they're talking about.
Alex Bailey, I'm Detective Charlie Reese, and I need your help.
Wait, you want to know if a Dungeness crab can kill someone?
That's what I'm aiming to find out.
Is that alcohol?
That's classified.
Newsflash, these are not normal crabs.
How in the hell did that stay unprocessed inside of that crab?
What is it?
Coke?
Cocaine?
You have absolutely got to be kidding me.
Is that what I think it is? Evidently, these are space crabs.
Hold the course, Miss Bailey. We've got some coke-snorting space crabs to wrangle.
Oops.
Oops, my ass.
I'm not afraid of these things. They just look like a bunch of plastic toy crabs.
Now we're back. It's that easy.
Yay!
Editing is
Crap.
amazing. So what do you have? Will you do any film festivals with this? Will you what do you think about film festivals and we're gonna wrap it up. Let's just have it out in 5 minutes. But talk about film festivals, paying to play. Do you like to pay to play? Does all the film festivals? Are there any free film festivals to do it, or do you just have to get in the circuit and sort of like with pay to play? Is that the deal?
Kind of. There's a few. Again, I highly recommend filmfreeway.com. It's a massive hub. It's just a big search engine for, I have a comedy. It's between this length and this length. The budget was this much. And then you type in those parameters and they'll pop up. And then you just read their bio and you decide whether you want in or not. I've paid I think I paid $5 to enter it into a festival. I've paid $20 to enter into a festival. If you really want to go into the big boy festivals, the ones you've heard of, the ones everybody's heard of, you can spend $120 to enter a festival if you want.
And that's no guarantee that your movie is going to make it into the festival.
It's never a guarantee. No, there's zero guarantee. I entered Crabs into, I think, about 25 festivals, and it cost me about $400. And I was kind of picky with it. With the way Film Freeway sets things up, each festival has their own bio. They get to write what they want, and you just read up on it, research it right there. How long have they been around? Are they an IMDb qualifying event? How many people are running it? What sort of things have played in the past? And you get a gist of what they're about. Crabs Play. I won best comedy feature in England a couple months ago in a festival. I'm embarrassed now. I want to say it's the Lit Laughs Film Festival. I'm sorry.
No, we'll put it up later. We'll put a little. You just let me know later, and I'll put it up on the screen. We'll put it up
okay. Well, I'm into them. I'm sorry, but yeah, they liked it so much that I won a trophy. They normally charge for the shipping for the trophy. Like, we're just gonna send it to you. It's like, all right, cool. But
awesome.
That played in a bar. They played their festival.
That's a perfect bar movie. God damn.
It is. I was like, okay, I made a bar movie. I'm okay with that.
I think the style and the people, the characters, it's very Oregon. I could see how people in Japan or that is not used to seeing people with pins or the locations, of that neighborhoods would like that, and the cost, you know what I mean? It's really, I love independent. It just reminds me of like early like Night Flight sort of stuff.
Okay.
We never seen Night Flight. Do you ever see Night Flight?
No, I know of it, but no, I haven't.
It was before MTV, and they used to show quirky, strange movies, little videos like Fish Heads was what premiered on there.
And it had a host.
Fish Heads.
Didn't it have a host like in between the?
No, it was just all audio. It was like music videos or short films or really obscure shit that they would.
Okay, then I'm thinking something else. No.
Night Flight is like in the Bay Area. You probably remember it.
It's the name sounds familiar, but
yeah. But it's like 70s kind of like, almost like John Waters sort of stuff, or obscure fun filmmaking. And then I guess I'm going on a tangent, but it's fun. I can't wait to see the rest of it. What are you gonna do the rest of your day?
I've been working my backyard while the weather's good. So I'm gonna go out there and get some stuff done.
Do you have a garden?
No, I'm building a pergola. Pergola.
A pergola?
Structure with a canopy.
You mean like a gondola?
I guess. I thought a gondola was a boat.
Oh, it is a boat. Well,
I'm building a shaded structure with pavers.
Nice. You laying in concrete?
No, I'm not. I don't know how to lay concrete. I've never
Oh.
done it. I've leveled pavers before, so I did pavers.
Well, I
So
think
yeah,
is
really
there anything
exciting.
is there anything we should know about um oh, here's what would you have liked to know in filmmaking that you wish you would have been able to know when you first started that you know now?
Oh, that's an excellent question. Wow, no one's ever asked me that one. What would I like to know? What would I like to know? Boy, at the beginning, probably just better networking. Honestly, like early on, I was not good at networking at all. I'd go to my classes, and the class would be over, and I would just get up and walk out. I didn't really do too much teaming up with people. I did a couple times, but boy, if you don't have the money to hire people and you're hanging out with like-minded people, keep hanging out with like-minded people and just scratch each other's backs. As far as, I've got a project. Well, I've got a project. Well, I've got a project. Well, you help me on yours. I'll help you on yours. And I mean, people want to work with people they want to work with. So you get out there and get known to be someone who people like to work with, they're going to work with you. So networking, in short, I'd probably say that.
Yeah, perfect. Well, I got a movie I want to make. Maybe we can help each other on our next projects or something. I have
Maybe, yeah.
I have a feature film called Return to Sender that's really nice. I was trying to. It was a period piece, but I've been thinking recently about like how can because Jokes Land. It's a feature, dark comedy. It's supposed to takes place in 1999. But yeah, it's a. I'll send you a PDF sometime if you want to see it.
Yeah, sure.
It's pretty funny. Okay, well, enjoy the rest of your day. This has been um Brett's with Friends with Chuck Magee, and this is his movie. Is I don't know if it shows up backwards on the screen or not.
I don't know. I could flip it. Wait, then you're just going to see the back.
Yeah, flip it. But it's a feature film. I would recommend smoking a few joints, having a few beers. It is fun.
On my first disc for Board with a Nail in It Man, it even says right on the disc. I wanted to put a quote on there, so I put, "It's even funnier if you're drunk."
It's much like this podcast. It's better if you smoke and drink like this. Gosh, is there anything else? What do you f-stop, Oregon, Salem, crabs, filmmaking, AI?
I'll throw one out there, but without giving you all the information. Upcoming projects. I have. I took this last summer off just because movie making is a lot of work, and I didn't want to hop back in. Next summer, chances are solid that I will be working on another one. No promises, but solid. I have 2 ideas for my next feature, and I keep going back and forth which one I want to do, And I'm not going to give out too many details. I will say one is a zombie comedy.
A zombie.
The other is a mad scientist picture, and they're not connected at all. But that's what I'm kind of bouncing back and forth with. We'll see what kind of writing I get done this winter, because I really don't want to start as late as I did with crabs. That was like 10 months of being bored, fire, COVID fire burning in me that just sprung me into action to do that. So I want a little more time with this one. My first 2 movies took me about 3 years each. This one I did in under 2. So for me, that's pretty fast.
Yeah. So what's your favorite zombie movie?
I just discovered this movie. It was actually over the COVID break. It is a Japanese movie, and it's called One Cut of the Dead. Have you seen it?
I think I've heard the Critical Drinker talking about it.
It's amazing.
Is there a train scene?
No. Are you thinking Train to Busan?
Yeah.
That's Korean.
Oh, Korean. I'm sorry.
That one's good too.
I heard that's really good.
Sequel. I haven't seen it. I recommend Train to Busan. It is a fun ride. One Cut of the Dead. If I say anything about it, it spoils the whole thing.
Okay.
All I will say is it's unlike any movie I've ever seen.
Where does it originate? Like who are the filmmakers?
It's Japanese.
Japanese.
It's Japanese. All I will say is, when you're watching it, you're gonna have questions. You're gonna be like, what is going on? I don't know what is going on. All of your questions will be answered at the end, and it is worth sticking it out to the end. It is such a unique film, and it's so superbly done. I will never be that good of a filmmaker. It's amazing. One Cut of the Dead.
One Cut of the Dead. Check it out. Are horror films and comedies your favorite films?
Comedies, yeah. Horror, not so much. I've opened up to it a little more over the years. It was never really my go-to thing. It's more that I have a lot of friends who love them, so I started watching it kind of because of them. With horror, it's either not scary and it doesn't work and I'm unimpressed, or it is scary and it freaks me the crap out and I don't like it. So
Yeah.
I kind of teeter with horror like that. It's like, if you did a really good job, I'm freaking out and I don't like it. If you didn't,
People
do a good
want
job,
is people freaking out? Is that it's like it's people like to be freaked out.
apparently,
Why do you think they like to be freaked out?
I don't know, that high, that rush, that got
The
me.
escapism.
I don't know. I'm not one of them. I don't like, when I watch something creepy and then I turn off my lights and I'm walking to bed. Ugh.
I was watching
I'm
the
a big punk when it comes to that.
Yeah, I haven't ever been really tripped out like because I stopped watching horror films. As a child, I used to sneak into movie theaters and watch a lot of horror films and a lot of blood. Tom Savini, Friday the 13th, the slice of the neck, but when she's held back by the tree,
Oh yeah.
Then I studied special effects. Actually, I met Tom Savini at one point. He's a really great guy. But all the blood and I think my senses were on overload. Like I saw altered states as a child, in the theater, and so all the big blown out like kind of graphic-y stuff. I didn't really I kind of like had this moment with it, and then that's why I like comedy, but it was like so desensitizing like to do it. But like I was in the Angeles National Forest watching this cabin with my dogs, and there's a fire in the mountains, right? That was coming. Eventually, we're gonna anyways. And I started watching The Shining by myself, and in the middle of the woods while the fire is approaching. Like it was only a day away, but everyone was kind of got on high alert, which I did have to eventually evacuate. But I had never been that creeped out watching it by myself, smoking joints, and I was like, I had to actually fucking turn it off. I was like, this is giving me. I'm seriously gonna have nightmares if I continue to watch this.
Yeah, those are not the horror movies I like. The ones that freak me out, I don't like. I'll give you a good example. This one's fairly recent. I think this was the last thing I watched before COVID, and it made me realize what I like if I'm going to watch a horror movie. I do like the edge taken off, which comedy does. Comedy does that with just about everything. Have you ever seen Ready or Not?
No.
It's amazing. It's so fun. It's such a fun movie. It's a young lady marrying into a very rich family. The whole thing takes place in this mansion. But they have to play a game when someone new comes in the family. And they draw this card. And whatever the card is, that's the game they play. So she pulls hide and seek. And I'm not spoiling anything.
Oh, wait, I have heard of this movie before. Is this an American-made movie?
Yeah. This is only, again, like 3 years old, I think.
Yeah, I heard about this movie.
So the family believes that they are cursed, and if they don't kill her, if they don't find her hiding in the house and kill her by sunrise, that they're all toast. And it's horror. There's blood in there, but at least for me, it's fun. It's so fun. It's lighthearted. It's lighthearted as you can get with people taking a crossbow to the face.
I heard about this movie.
It's a fun ride. I really enjoy it.
It sounds sort of like what The Glass Onion wanted to be.
No.
I didn't really get into Glass Onion very much.
I like Glass Onion. I really did. I like the first one a little bit more just because I like the Thrombies. I think the Thrombies brought a lot more to it than this group did. But they're still both A+ movies in my book. I really dig them.
Maybe I'll have to get another watch.
But there wasn't so much like hiding and running in Glass Onion. Glass Onion was more figuring stuff out. There's not much to figure out in this one. I mean, at least once it clicks what's happening.
Yeah.
It's just trying to survive till sunset. Or sunrise, excuse me. And it's a blast. Ready or not.
Did you see the last Evil Dead movie?
No.
Like Rise?
I haven't seen any of them since Army of Darkness.
I saw it in the theater. It was like the physics of it were like you gotta remain in the physics of the movie for it to make sense. If you start going outside of the physics of it, start doing something out that isn't in the bubble of it, then you start kind of like losing the compression of it.
Sure. Oh my god, let me try that again. World building. That's what you're doing with a movie. You build this world, you build all these rules in it, and I get what you're saying. If you go out those, people's BS detectors go off, and it will pull them out, and you don't want that.
Yeah, you gotta remain in the physics of it.
Yeah.
Well, I enjoyed this conversation. Let's end it on a high note. We saw Crabs, a trailer. Go get this man's movie. Watch it. Have a beer. What's your favorite beer right now?
Oh, my favorite beer right now is what my favorite beer always will be. And that's Anderson Valley's Boone.
I love it. All right. Chuck Magee, filmmaker, writer, producer, actor,
costumes, location scout. I don't know.
Let's put them all on the screen. We'll put a big line of stuff. Thanks for coming. I'll see you at F-Stop sometime. I'll probably be there.
That sounds great. This was a blast. Thanks for having me on.
Yay! I know this is fun, man. I've been educated. This is our longest conversation we've ever had, even though I've known you in and out, and I get to meet you as a filmmaker, and I appreciate.
And I'll probably pour you a beer sooner or later.
Oh, yep, probably very, very soon. All right, everybody at F-Stop, have fun. Chuck Magee, Friends with Friends. Aloha, mahalo. Have a beautiful day, and I will see you guys soon. Thank you very much, Chuck. That was fun.
Absolutely, thank you.
Super educational too. See ya.
Friends with friends, friends with friends, friends with friends, it's never going to end. Friends with friends, friends with friends, friends with friends, let's do it again. Brett, he talks to people about stuff. He's the podcast